So thus far we have seen how we can work with mutative methods, how we can create a shallow copy of our arrays. Now you also encounter scenarios or use cases where you have an array of data and now you want to find out at what index in the array a certain element is sitting at. The reason for finding the index can be anything. Maybe you want to replace the item or whatever reason you might have. Now let us define an array, say names. So what I will do is I will create a new constant and I will name the variable as names, pass some bunch of names here, say Rishi, Eclipse and Scene. And now what I want to do is I want to find the particular index at which Scene is sitting at. So we want to find out where Scene is actually present in the array. You can do this with another method that is available in JavaScript on every array, which is known as the indexOf method. So let me show you this. So what I will do is I will log to the console names.indexOf and I will pass Scene as the argument here. So let us go back to the browser to see the output. So back in my browser you can see Scene is basically sitting at the index 2 in our array, as you can see. Okay, so let us move further. Now as the name suggests, this basically will return you the index of the argument you are passing in here. So if you search for Scene, you can see we are getting index as 2 as the output because it is at the index 2 where Scene is actually sitting. You also have an optional second argument. So let me show you this. I will write a comma and you can see it is suggesting the second argument, which is called as the from index. So that will help you to specify where you would like to start searching for the item. You can start searching for the item at some other index as well, not from the starting. Okay, so you can omit the starting index. You can specify some other index as well. So that is the flexibility that this method gives you. Now one thing you need to understand is that if you have the same value more than once, in this example, that means if you have more than one scenes, then in that case the indexOf will stop after it finds the first matching value. In this case it will not return all the indices of the items that have the value as seen. Now if you want to start searching from the right end of your array, then we have another method which is called as the last indexOf. So let me show you this. So I will write here a comment, start searching for the first match from the right end of the array. So I will say names dot last index of and pass Scene here again. So let me go back to my browser to see the output. So back in my browser you can see we are getting index as 2. Okay, so here also if you start searching from right end, you will not get some negative values. You are simply getting the index at which Scene is sitting, though it is a little faster because from the right end you are able to get to the index at which Scene is sitting very quickly because it is just the last element. So let us proceed further. So back in my Visual Studio Code, now what I want to do is, this does the same searching effect but it starts from the right end. Another important downside to indexOf and last indexOf method is that it works fine for primitive values but not for reference values. Let us say instead of the array of primitive names, we have an array of users and each user is an object. So what I will do is I will create a new array and name it as users, and I will define a bunch of objects here. So I will say name, set that to Scene, occupation, I will say full stack developer, then I will say name, Gary Simpson, occupation, MERN stack developer, and let me define one more object. I will say name, Rishi, occupation, student. So this is how our array of users look like. It basically holds a bunch of users, and each user is an object that has two properties sitting in it. So the one is name, another one is occupation. Okay, so each user is represented by these two properties, name and occupation. So what I want to now do with this is that I want to find out where Gary Simpson is sitting at. So of course we can try this. So let me show you this. What I will do is I will say console.log. So I will show you here the downside of the indexOf method in case of reference values. So I will say users.indexOf, and let me copy the object that represents Gary Simpson. Okay, and I will pass this to the indexOf method, and let us see the output in the browser console. So back in my browser you can see we are getting index -1. But what is the reason behind this? Why are we getting -1? Because we have the Gary Simpson object sitting in our array. Then why are we getting -1? So let us understand this. What is the reason behind this? Okay, so the reason for getting -1 is, if you see, -1 is the return value for index if it couldn't find any value corresponding to what you were searching. Now this strange behavior can be attributed to the fact that the objects are reference values. They are not primitive values, they are reference values. I have discussed that in my series on objects. Definitely check out that videos. The link for that playlist can be found down below. And therefore when you are trying to create a new object, we are passing that to the indexOf. Now under the hood, what indexOf is doing, it is of course comparing the argument value to each of the values, and each value here is an object. So it is comparing the argument that you are passing, which is this object, against all the values or all the objects that are sitting within your array. Okay, so it is comparing the argument value to each of the values that are present in the array for the exact match. But here it is unable to find the match. Again, the reason for this is that even if two objects look exactly the one and the same, they are sitting at different memory location. So here you are passing a new object, okay, and this is sitting as, say, some other memory location, say at 0x100, okay, in the memory, and this object will be sitting at some other location. So even though they look similar to each other, they look exactly similar to each other, but they are not, because they are sitting at different memory locations. They are reference values and not primitives. Hope I made this clear. Okay, so moving further, that is the reason we are getting -1. So indexOf is doing this comparison under the hood and is not able to find the correct match. So, and these are sitting at different memory locations. So to conclude everything what I said, indexOf won't work here if you pass an object as an argument to it. Now for objects we have a different and a special method. Let us understand that. Now if I want to find the object pertaining to the name scene, I can make use of something called as the find method. So let me show you this.